Hey everybody, welcome to the Ethereum Dencun mainnet call. We are going to watch the Dencun fork today. I'm Nixo. I'm the executive director of eStaker. We're co-hosting this call with also the Ethereum cat herders and the Daily Gwei, aka Anthony Sassano. The Ethereum cat herders, do you guys want to really quickly introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. Welcome everyone. We are thrilled to have you here for our Dencun mainnet upgrade. My name is Pooja Ranjan, and I'm the herder-in-chief at Ethereum Cat Herders. We are a group of contributors who support Ethereum protocol development and create educational content around improvement proposal for the community. To me, this gathering is to celebrate the strength of our community and our shared interest. Super excited to be a part of this celebration.
Awesome, thanks Pooja. And Anthony, do you want to introduce yourself? Sassel?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Nick. And thanks everyone for being here and watching this stream. Super exciting day for all of us, of course. I'm Anthony Sassano, for those who don't know me. Long-time Ethereum community member, educator, basically just being amongst the vibes of Ethereum is what I like to say from time to time. And you can follow all of my work at something called the Daily Gwei, which is basically a daily kind of Ethereum podcast / video where I basically recap everything that's happening in the Ethereum ecosystem. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. And eStaker is a nonprofit that supports stakers, primarily decentralized forms of staking. So we primarily advocate for solo stakers and home stakers. And from eStaker here, we have Remy, we've got Sam, we've got Buddha, we've got Hanny and Thorsten, aka Yorick. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining. We're going to watch the Ethereum mainnet fork to this new fork today. And we're going to go through, we're going to tell you what it means. We're going to tell you all the things that are being included in it. We're going to sort of suss out a lot of questions about the big EIP in it. But before we do that, I do want to mention we had a video play before. Is that right, Remy? We had a video play before. You might have seen it, and I'm going to pass it off to Trent to explain sort of what that video is and where it fits in this.
Hey, thanks, Nick. So yeah, I'll be really quick. So the video you saw playing was a short film called Delivery at Dawn that was meant to celebrate the work of core contributors, the people that are making upgrades like 4844 happen. A lot of the times this stuff, outside of upgrade calls like this, there's not a ton of attention on the work that core developers, core contributors do every day. And so this was put together as a thank you by the Nouns community for core developers and the oftentimes unseen infrastructural work or behind the scenes work that they do day in and day out. So 4844 has been in progress for 2 years now. And so this film is a celebration of the work that went into that, bringing it to Mainnet, celebrating the idea of stewardship and just making a memento available for the broader Ethereum community. So like I said, that was put together by the Nouns community, work done by The Line Animation, which is a studio in London, and the proceeds go to Protocol Guild, which is a collective of core contributors. So if you want to check out the film, you can go to fundcoredevs.xyz to check it out. It's a really beautiful animation. There's a bunch of little cameos hidden in it, a bunch of projects that we collaborated with to weave this little narrative, a story. So yeah, go check it out. And if you want to mint it, and the funds will go to Protocol Guild. And as one of the producers put together this nice little summary of what this is about, and he wrote, "For those who work through the night, so others may play in the light." I think that sums it up really nicely, and I'm excited to celebrate the work that actually went into this upgrade. Check it out at fundcoredevs.xyz. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Trent. That's such an awesome project. It was so cool of NounsDAO to help fund that. Great. And we also so that was fundcoredevs.xyz. Was that right? Okay, cool.
Yep.
And we're also going to have a POAP through the call. We'll give you that information later on, closer to the fork. But right now, I want to pass it off to Sassel, who's going to give us a high-level overview of where we are in Ethereum, what point of the roadmap, sort of high level we're at, and what the vibes are.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So the vibes are immaculate right now, I think, within the Ethereum community. There is just so much happening across like everything, core development, layer twos, restaking taking off crazily. I know there's obviously a lot of concern as well with that because there's so many unknowns that are kind of popping up with regards to risk and how people are doing things on the network. Well, the network of networks now, obviously we have a bunch of L2s that are pretty big now. And I think that with this upgrade with Dencun, with EIP 4844 specifically going live, aka Blobs, aka Proto Dank Sharding. We've given this thing so many names, so you got to run through the list there. With that going live, we basically enter this new era of Ethereum scalability, essentially, because Eric Kohn has been tweeting this over the last few days that L2s are Ethereum. Some people like to say that they're not, but they definitely are. Ethereum is being purpose-built as a network to service these L2s, and Blobs or 4844 is one major step in that roadmap, and it's part of the roadmap item called the Surge for people who have looked at Vitalik's Ethereum roadmap diagram before. So it's in there along with other things like full dank sharding, data availability sampling, or DAS, and so on and so forth. So really, yeah, today's kind of Dencun hard fork signifies a new era in Ethereum scalability, I think, for the community, and that's what's got everyone so excited about it. But I do want to caveat that by saying that, there's been a bit of, I guess, like unknown in what the actual fee reductions will be for these L2s with 4844 going live. It's very hard to know what they're going to be. So personally, I'm very, very excited for this to finally go live so we can actually put some hard numbers to this rather than speculating. And some people saying it's going to be 100x reduction, some people saying it's going to be like 5 to 10x. So we finally get to put hard numbers to this today. But this is just the first step. And the cool thing about Blobs is that they can actually be modified going forward relatively easily. We can increase the size of them, which will give more capacity for layer twos, which should bring down fees. And we can do that at pretty much like every hard fork. And I think there's ongoing research in doing that outside of hard forks as well, which is pretty cool. But as I said, it's the first step on a long journey, that has been going on for a few years now towards what we call full dank sharding, which will greatly increase Ethereum scalability properties, specifically for layer twos, because Ethereum has what's called a roll-up centric roadmap. People have probably heard of that before. But I do want to mention that 4844 is not the only EIP that's going into Dencun. There are a bunch of other EIPs as well going in. But I think the one that the users should be excited about is definitely 4844. The rest of them are probably either more developer facing or something that the users aren't really going to directly kind of interface with. There's one that creates what I like to call an enshrined oracle as part of the network, where essentially the consensus layer and execution layer has better communication between it, which enables a lot of really cool use cases. And I've talked about a bunch of these on my show before. And a really old EIP 1153 goes live, which will enable a Uniswap v4 to launch, along with a bunch of other things. Developers love this EIP from what I've read. So that's also really, really cool there. So that's why the vibes are immaculate. That's why people are excited. That's why I'm excited. And yeah, I mean, we're counting down now. What is it, like 40 minutes, 35 minutes or so to go here. So super excited to see this all go live. But I think I'm going to wrap my my kind of rant up there and pass it on to Pooja.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for providing this vibes that we have in the Ethereum ecosystem. And next, we are going on to the section that is for Dencun EIPs and hard fork meta. So we have already recorded multiple episodes to cover these proposals in depth in explanation, but now for new contributors, new users, we are going to have a 90-second summary of each of these proposals. Let me first start with the hard fork meta, which is EIP 7569. So I would like to invite the author Tim Bako to talk about the proposal, and if he can also provide a bit more of context on the proposal 7568, which is hard fork meta backfill.
Yes. Hi everyone. I feel like Sasal kind of front run me. So he gave a good overview.
I got a little carried away.
Yeah, no, all good. Yeah, he gave a good overview of everything that's in the fork. Maybe a couple of things I'll add is one, like, yes, blob transactions are a huge thing coming in this fork, but this might be the single fork where we've shipped the most individual EIPs or features. So it's kind of wild that we, on one hand, shipped like this huge change to the entire fee market with blobs, and then also have all these opcodes and all these neat beacon chain changes. So yeah, looking at the list, it's a pretty long one. So EIP 7569, sorry, it's just a meta EIP that lists out all the EIPs in the fork, tells you when the fork goes live, which is in a few minutes in our case, and then also links out to the consensus layer specifications, which have more details around the specific features. So we use these to track hard forks. We already have one for the next hard fork as well. So I don't have the number off the top of my head, but if you go to the meta EIP page, this is probably the best place to look at like what's coming in a hard fork. 77600 is for Pectra, which would be the fork after the one today. And then Pooja asked me about 7568. So for a few years, for reasons I can't remember, we decided to stop doing meta EIPs. This was just a bad idea. So 7568 just looks back from the time we last did the meta EIP, which was the Berlin hard fork, and then lists out where all the specs for the forks between Berlin and this one are stored.
Continue calling you as Nimbus Davis.
Oh, Perry.
Perry, your mic is on.
Yeah, Perry, your mic is on.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah, so 7568 is basically just a list of all the hard forks for which we didn't have a meta EIP, so you can find the specs easily. And yeah, in the future, if you're sort of wondering what's in the hard fork, then going to eeps.org/meta or eeps.ethereum.org/meta will have you covered.
Thank you so much, Tim. I seriously believe this meta it provides a very good picture of what we are getting into an upgrade, and it's like one placeholder for all of them. Next, we can start with all the 9 proposals which have been added so far on the testnet and will be deploying on the mainnet. We have got EIP 1153 Transient Storage Opcode, which is originally documented in 2018 by Alexei Okhnov, and this proposal is finally being deployed now. So let me invite the co-author Moody Salim to provide a quick summary.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. My name is Moody. I work on MCOPY protocol, which is an AMM on Starknet. I'm one of the co-authors for Transient Storage, mostly a developer-facing IP. So transient storage is a kind of memory for the EVM that you use like storage, except it's cleared at the end of the transaction. In other words, because it's transient, that means it's stored only in memory, so it's much cheaper to use than regular storage. The benefit is that it persists across calls within the same transaction, unlike memory. So how can you use this? The most common use case is reentrancy locks, which almost every contract has some form of, and they'll be much cheaper with 1153. More advanced use cases, such as the till pattern and Uniswap before Sassel mentioned, allow you to take many actions on a protocol like swapping, updating positions on many pools, and you only pay what you owe at the end. There's also use cases like ERC20 and ERC2612 permit, and then transfer from in a single transaction. That can be both cheaper and safer since the approval does not usually need to outlive the transaction. That means you don't have to go to revoke.cash to remove these lingering approvals. And even for L2s, like Arbitrum shared that their L2 to L1 message passing could make use of this transient storage opcode. So overall, the ability to communicate across call frames cheaply opens up the design space for smart contracts on Mainnet and enables some more efficient patterns. And it's even useful for some of these L2 smart contracts on Mainnet.
Thank you, Moody. I think proposal 1153 is a very good example for good proposals which are documented in Ethereum ecosystem. Even if they are delayed, they would be considered whenever there is a best time to get them added on the Ethereum mainnet. Well, going by numbers in ascending order, the next proposal listed here is 4788 beacon block route in the EVM. So let me invite Alex Stokes.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so this is a funny IP. The core functionality that it unlocks is letting the execution layers, consensus layers, talk to each other. So the way the protocol is structured, especially after the merge, is we have these two different layers. And really until today, there is no way to access the consensus layer trustlessly inside the EVM. The CIP fixes that by supplying the beacon block route, say of the previous block, via this series of contracts that we have. And yeah, this unlocks a lot of fun use cases. So, the core thing here is if you have any sort of application that has like an Oracle or something to get access to this information, this can now be done trustlessly. Yeah, and we kind of introduced this new concept of like a pre-deploy. So there's now this almost like system contract notion where it's updated by the protocol and then anyone can access it. What does this do? So this can, again, I think the main thing is just thinking about this as an Oracle. So, staking pools uses information to know like, are validators in the pool, have they been slashed? Are they performing well? Things like this. Also things like restaking are going to want to use this with the same information. And yeah, generally just improves trust assumptions around all these different applications. And the cool thing will be all of the other things that you guys think of that will surprise us.
Thank you, Alex. I remember there were some concerns by the client team, but you didn't give up. So thank you for pushing it. And finally, we have the proposal. The next one here is one of the most exciting proposal that I believe people are here for, and it is also known as anchor proposal for the Dencun upgrade. Let me invite Terence Tassum to talk about proposal 4844 shard block transactions.
Okay, hi everyone. So I get a big EIP. I hope I can do this one justice. But yeah, so to be fair, like I am one of the core developer that was lucky to implement this EIP. But then the EIP author was Proto, Dunker, and Vitalik, and Matt and George. So definitely shout out. So definitely shout out to them. So TLDR is that we have this rollup central roadmap for layer 2, and layer 2 inherits the security of the Ethereum. So we want to provide scalable data throughput on chain, right? And this is kind of like the first step towards full dense sharding. So for the end game, we will have lots of cheap and most secure data on chain, and probably the most secure data that you will ever see, right? So what does it mean? So how does it work? So basically, we allow all the nodes to store all the data, and then we guarantee the data will be retrieved up to a certain time. And please be note, the data will not be stored forever. That is a different problem, right? And then another thing is that we don't allow the EVM to access the data, except to verify the data is there. So I think there are two innovations behind this EIP. The first is that we have this new cryptography, that's KZG commitment, and which this new cryptography will be used for full-length sharding. So we are kind of halfway there. And then the second thing is that we have this secondary market for the blob data. So we have a nice separation for essentially the regular gas market and then the blob gas market, right? So what does this mean for layer 2? So for layer 2, you don't have to fight for the first gas market anymore. You can have your own gas market, so such that the price might be cheaper. And then what does it mean on the other side of the thing? It means that you also have your own gas market. So it's kind of like highway. We kind of add some lanes for the bus only, and hopefully this will improve the traffic overall. So yeah, hopefully in the next 24 hours, we will see some layer 2 using it.
Thank you so much, Terence. Definitely, it is one of the most popular proposal for this upgrade. Well, moving on, we have got this proposal for EVM improvement. It was originally documented in 2021. And to explain this, let me invite Adzik or Pavel from the Epsilon team. The proposal is EIP 5656 MCOPY, memory copying instructions.
Hey, thank you, Pooja. Yeah, so MCOPY is part of a series of improvements to the EVM itself. MCOPY itself is a small change, but there are a number of other changes which have been proposed to improve the developer experience. So what MCOPY is doing is basically today, before this change, the way to copy between memory areas, you have to do like a loop and load and store independent words, or you can utilize the identity precompile to perform a copy. And both of these options have pros and cons, but a dedicated instruction makes it just much easier and much cheaper to perform any copy. The identity precompile has a long history. In fact, it was introduced instead of the MCOPY instruction. And it caused some issues because initially it was cheap. So some contracts in the past have been using it, but then the usage of precompiles became much more expensive. So contracts stopped using it. And for the past few years, they became cheap again. So now there's a discrepancy between the contracts, and it also makes it much harder to be, do any kind of free pricing because contracts going to get affected. With contracts using MCOPY, this problem is going to go away. It is going to become.
That means that the algorithm
How's it going, Dencun?
Right. It is going to become cheaper. And lastly, it will open up some kind of new use cases in the compilers. So those who do heavy Solidity, they know that depending on the type of a item they work with and the location, whether that's memory, storage, or call data, they may have different abilities. With MCOPY, the differences may shrink, and you will have much better programming experience. Obviously, this depends on the compilers implementing MCOPY. So that's it, basically. It is a small change for developers, but hopefully it's going to be useful.
Definitely, yes. It's an important improvement proposal for EVMs. Moving forward, we have a proposal which is also quite popular. EIP 6780, self-destruct only in the same transaction. The proposal has been co-authored by Guillaume Bellet, Vitalik Buterin, and Dan Feast. And the proposal changes the functionality of the self-destruct opcode for improvement for the future worker tree consideration. May I request Guillaume to provide a quick summary of the proposal?
Thanks. Yep. So I'm going to. The EIP has been a bit controversial, actually. The reason why we want to remove self-destruct is because, well, it's been the source of multiple issues. A lot of people got literally burned. And for example, there was the parity wallet. There was there were I mean plenty of issues, and just the idea of having code malleability isn't really a nice feature, because you could, for example, start interacting with a properly completely fine contract and then end up having this like the rug pulled from under your feet, and just the idea of having code malleability isn't really a nice feature. Okay, I hear myself. In any case, the last reason we want yeah. Okay. I don't know. Something strange happened. I don't know if you guys could hear me.
Now we can.
We just
Okay.
lost you for the last like 10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying for code malleability wasn't is going to make things more complex. Is going to cause probably more problems as features become more complex with account abstraction. And the last reason we want to get rid of it is because it's pretty much impossible to implement in Verkle. So we're quite happy to see it go. Now, initially we just wanted to get rid of self-destruct altogether, but there's been some pushback, and namely some people doing something they call metamorphic contracts. They estimated that it would be fine if we could just keep the self-destruct feature only if it was deleted in the same transaction that the contract was created. So we went along with that. And yes, it's technically, if I'm not mistaken, the first EIP that is related to Verkle. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and hopefully there's even though Verkle is a long way to go still, it's nice to start progressing on this.
Thank you, Guillaume. We'll take whatever we get there. So moving forward, the next proposal is EIP 7044, perpetually signed voluntary exits. And the proposal was documented in June 2023, and it is a beacon chain improvement. Let me invite Dap Lion to provide a quick summary.
Hey everyone, I'm Dap Lion at Cordev at Sigma Prime. So this is probably the smallest EIP on the fork. It's just a small UX improvement for some staking setups where you have the staking operator as an entity and the funds holder as a different. Beacon chain signature validation works in this funny way where you can sign things that are up to 2 forks old. So if the operator wants to allow the capability to the holder to exit whenever it wants, it has to submit an infinite or unbounded number of exit messages, and that's inconvenient. So we're just doing this very small change where the exits that you sign now will be available forever. So you only have to submit this one exit message to the funds holder so you can have this trustless operation. We didn't do that in the start because if we had a Ethereum Classic type situation, then exits could be replayed. But we look into it, and I think the UX benefits are pretty nice. So it's just a tiny change. So we're just going for it.
Thank you, Danny. The next proposal on the list is EIP 7045, increase max attestation inclusion slot. To explain this proposal with this significant change, I would like to invite the author, Danny Ryan.
I thought that 7045 was the smallest EIP going in, but I just looked. The 7045 is a 2-line change. 7044 is a 1-line change. You do win, Dap Lion. So this is, I'm going to do a little bit of background. There are epochs. These are 32 slots. Every slot, a subset of validators sign an attestation. These attestations can be included on chain if they point to the right chain or the right checkpoints. Each attestation since phase 0 has precisely 32 slots to get in. So if you're at slot 0 of an epoch, you can get in until the end. If you're at slot 1, you can get in until the first slot of the next epoch. So 32 slots for inclusion. This was seen as fair, even though an attestation could potentially be included all the way to the end of epoch n+1, the assessment was like, okay, it's symmetric. Everyone gets 32 slots. This decision was kind of arbitrary. Both would have worked in phase zero genesis. It turns out that allowing for inclusion all the way through n+1, where there's a bit of asymmetries depending on when you're assigned in epoch n, allows for an easier confirmation rule in terms of like formally proving the properties of a confirmation rule. So what this does is it changes it from that 32 slot window to any attestations created in n slot n, epoch n can be included in epoch n+1. Confirmation rule. So we have blocks are created, blocks are then justified, blocks are then finalized. At each one, you get kind of iterative confirmation that the block will be continued to be in that chain forever. Finalized being like the ultimate, claim that the block will be there forever. A confirmation rule is under certain assumptions, certain synchrony assumptions, certain honesty assumptions, certain validator thresholds of participation. Can we actually confirm a block quicker? And it turns out the answer is yes. Often within 1 slot, 2 slots, you can get pretty significant block confirmation, but you need this tiny little change. So that's what 7045 does. Is it really is a tiny change that no one's going to really notice with respect to kind of user experience or even really validator experience, except that it unlocks this confirmation rule. The confirmation rule is expected to be specified in April and released at some point after that. It can be rolled out without a hard fork and will be. So it will improve the user experience ultimately of interacting with Ethereum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny. It's really interesting to see all developers are challenging each other, like 2-line code and then 1-line code, and we are trying to go smaller on that. Very well. Moving forward, the next proposal included here is EIP 7514, add max epoch churn limit. Documented in September 2023 by Daplion and Tim Bako, this is perhaps the last proposal to be proposed and included in the Dencun upgrade. I'd like to invite Daplion again.
Sure. Hey, everyone again. So this EIP came to light during summer of last year when the Beacon chain was growing like crazy. There was an insane interest of the chain. And the Beacon chain has this mechanism called the churn, which limits how much people can enter and exit the system in a specific amount of time. And this is dynamic, and it expands with how many people, how many active indexes we have. What it means is that we can have exponential growth. And if we keep this crazy growth we had during summer, we can reach 100% of total ETH supply very soon. And that was scary because the network is not ready for that level of active indexes. We did some tests later in the year and every client pooped. So that's not good. Also, if we have 80%, 90% of total ETH stake, some funny economic things can happen, which may be a problem. So I don't know. I'm not going to list them here. There is good research. But the point is that it's an explored economic territory, and getting there too fast was a bit scary. So what the EIP does is it limits how many validators can join the chain per unit of time, so that these uncertain scenarios, if they ever happen, they will happen at the earliest in like 2 to 3 years. During this time, a lot of smart people in our research community are looking into this. So if we need to do something to prevent these crazy unknowns, we will do it. Otherwise, we're good. So far, we haven't seen a crazy inbound in stake, but things like restaking are putting fuel into the fire. So I'm kind of thinking it was a good idea. But I wanna give a shout out to Casper and Ansgar. They have published very important research about why we should actually implement total stake targeting. So please take a look at that research if that's important to you. We should have a lot of economic discussion in these months coming forward.
Thank you, Daplion. People can indeed do their research, but just to make sure that we have related resources available, we have done exclusive episodes on each of these proposals on PEEP and EEP. So please check it out and have a great overview of these proposals. The last EIP that is listed here for the Dencun upgrade is EIP 7516 blob-based POAP code. This proposal is authored by Carl B. Huazin, and you may find it similar to EIP 3198 base POAP code that was deployed with the London upgrade, except this is for the blob. To provide an overview, may I request Ansgar? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Pooja. Yeah, so as you said, I'm not one of the not the author of the EIP, but it's a really small one in competition with the other ones that also like on the smaller side for the fork, and it's really the only reason that we didn't end up combining it with 4844 itself was that it was added relatively late. So as people have already pointed out, I think it's really important that people understand that EIP 4844 itself is not yet a scaling upgrade. It does not actually scale the data availability that Ethereum provides yet. It just splits out the data for rollups cleanly into these blobs so that we can scale it later. And so for now, basically the lower prices come as a function of a fee market efficiency gain. We introduce a 2-dimensional fee market for the very first time on Ethereum, where basically you can now pay for rollup data separately from everything else. So you're no longer congested by NFT drops on Mainnet or something. And as part of that fee market, we try to keep basically changes as minimal as possible because, of course, anytime you make complicated changes for Ethereum, there's always a lot of risk. But we basically initially went a little overboard on the simplicity, and we did not include any way of directly in protocol accessing this new type of base fee. Right? We now have 2 different base fees. We have the base fee for all the normal gas, and then we have the base fee for blob data. But initially we were like, let's keep it simple, let's not add too much extra functionality, but then people requested this, and so relatively late in the process, that's also why I'm the last person here speaking, because it's the highest EIP number, we added that back, and basically because 44 was already final at that point, we basically gave it its own EIP. So it's a small one, but hopefully useful for rollups.
Thank you so much, Ansgar, for providing the summary. And I'm sorry, I think I missed Carl. Thank you, Carl, for being on the call and documenting this proposal as well. Thank you and congratulations to each of these authors whose proposals are being deployed on Mainnet today. And I would also like to congratulate every client team for testing these proposals and testing team as well for reaching where we are today. This concludes the list of EIPs, and I would like to pass it back to Nixo to take us to the next section.
Thank you so much, Pooja. I actually do want to ask Carl, though, about the KZG ceremony. Carl, could you give us a few words about the KZG ceremony?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as has been touched on many times, the blobs are indeed coming, and the basis for the security behind all of the blobs is this cryptographic construction called KZG commitments. And for KZG commitments to work, there basically needs to be a secret which no one can know. It's kind of like the private key to these commitments. And we ran a really large ceremony, the KZG ceremony, to basically get as many people to contribute some entropy, some randomness to the system, such that no single person can ever know the private key to all these commitments. And then by doing it this way, as long as a single of the, I think we ended up with about 140,000 people, was honest, and as long as there's one person in there who did not save their portion of the secret, then we know that the private key for all these KZG commitments is secure. And so the ceremony was just a large effort to have as many people from the community as possible contribute a little bit of randomness, such that we now know that the blobs will be safe and that everyone can trust that moving forward.
Yeah, I just want to add there, this was a pretty wide-ranging community effort. We had a bunch of different implementations of the cryptography and different components of the ceremony. So for all the people that participated in writing clients or contributing entropy or some of the special contributions, there were some really awesome ones. Thank you to everybody who was part of this project. It took a long time. It lasted from January to August of last year. And now that's that all the entropy, if you participated, is embedded in the Ethereum chain forever. So thanks for everybody who participated in that. It was a big project, and Carl and I were really happy to have worked on it.
Cool. Thank you for the explanation, the KTG ceremony. I do want to pass it a little bit to what users and stakers and people who are using the chain are going to experience with 4844 or with what's the EIP number? 7569 with Dencun. So the first thing I want to ask is because I'm part of the staking community, we're getting a lot of questions about how much space blobs are going to take. Do people need bigger drives? So I'm going to pass that one to Remy.
Hey, so with blobs, node operators and stakers can expect to need about 100 gigabyte more of disk space just to store blobs on, but probably you can expect this disk usage to be slightly less because there might be like data that's being moved from somewhere else. Like usage will just transition from one place to the other, and 100 gigabyte is probably like the upper bound, and so you can expect this to be slightly lower. With like normal disk usage with like regular client, you might expect to use like 100, not 100, but like 1 terabyte of disk space with like recent settings and recent disk resync, client resync. So you could still use a 2 terabyte SSD. If you are to create a new machine as a node operator, like building one, you might want to use a 4 terabyte one just to avoid having to do these kinds of maintenance in the short term.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So stakers really don't need to do anything. The drives that you're using right now, the solid state drives that you're using right now should be sufficient. And I think there was a, man, I wish I could remember the specifics of this. There was actually a report that came out that said state growth would take like 10 years for us to get to needing 4 terabytes. Anyway, people can look that up afterwards. The next thing I want to do is I want to talk about blobs. So this is the blobs are the superstar of this hard fork. So I want I'm going to sort of pass it off, and I'm going to do like a Q&A with Domathy. Domathy, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe explain why I'm asking you about blobs?
Yeah, hi everyone. My legal birth name is Domathy, and I'm work at the research team at the Ethereum Foundation, and I did a piece last year on Blob Space 101. So for everyone who's not fully in the deep knowledge, that's everything involved here. So you can read this piece or the Bankless episode I did afterwards. So yeah, I know I'm the Blob whisperer, so I know a lot about the technology, and I'm good at explaining it for like people who are less deeply knowledgeable about. So yeah, go ahead, you can ask me anything.
Would you call yourself a blobologist or a blobosaur?
Yeah, blobologist is fine.
Blobologist. Okay, cool. So just high level, like one sentence, what is a blob?
Just an extra location of data that people can use to post anything, which is going to be mostly used by rollups.
Okay, and how is this related to, I know like sharding was a thing on the roadmap early on. How is this related to sharding, and what happened to that initial sharding idea?
Well, it turns out that having everyone manage a little piece of data is way easier to scale the blockchain compared to the initial plans where every validator was in charge of a little piece of the execution. So that's like, as has been told earlier, there's execution gas that we know today, and now there's going to be data gas for blobs. And that's, sorry, how do I put this? It's this is the first step towards the rollup centric roadmap where rollups put data into the blobs, and afterwards we're gonna get into data sharding, because as Ensgar said, it's not a full scaling solution with 4844 today, but it is the stepping stone in that direction. And at the end, we're gonna have every validator just sample a little bit of the data to make sure that it's all there and everything is played by the rules.
Awesome. And why is it called proto-dank sharding?
Well, the part proto is for Proto Lambda, who works at Optimism now, and the Dank is part for Dank Red Feist, which is the researcher who came up with the initial design for the end state of this, where we're heading. And then the sharding is because that's the idea that every validator is going to have a little piece of effort to do in order to scale the blockchain.
Cool. And how many blobs are we going to have for each block?
Yeah, it's starting with pretty conservative values of a target of 3 blobs per block with a maximum of 6. So that's the same, the fee market, it's going to be like 1559, where every time it's over 3 blobs per block, then the next block is going to charge a little bit more for blobs. And the same thing in reverse. If it's less than 3, then the price goes down.
Okay, so we could see blocks with 2 blobs, we could see blocks with 4 blobs.
Yeah, up to 6.
Okay, cool. And who are they going to be used by? Who can they be used by?
The main blob consumer is going to be rollups for sure by a large margin, because that's the ones that are going to be taking this data that's offered by Ethereum and converting it into execution at layer 2. So that's the main consumer, the main benefit. That's what we had in mind for them. But of course, it's a permissionless system, so anyone can just craft their own blob carrying transaction to put any kind of data they want. So I'm expecting to see like the B-movie script for fun inside blobs, or any big NFT projects that just wants to have their JPEGs on chain.
Okay, cool. Can I buy a blob? Can I buy part of a blob? I know that somebody created a cool tool called blob.fm that allows you to easily post memes and images of like cute cats and owls onto blobs and display them. So can that be a use case, or can I buy like part of a blob?
Of course, you can do anything you want on this permissionless system. The main drawback is that blobs are expected to be expensive as they're getting more and more usage from rollups. So it's more of a question that is it worth the money invested if you really want this meme to be on chain, or if there's any economic use cases from any kind of NFT project. So there's going to be a lot of memes at first as it's very cheap, but then they're going to be priced out for actual usage by rollups. That's my expectation.
Okay, cool. And how long do these blobs last?
The spec specifies that it's about 18 days, where every node is expected to be able to serve a blob data, and then after that, the default behavior is to just prune them, and then if you want to find the old blob data, then you have to find it from somewhere else, like any kind of storage protocols.
Cool. And then what happens after those 18 days? Can I still access blob data, or do we know who's going to be storing those?
There are a few protocols that are going to be serving blobs. Like you can expect something like someone just zips them up and offers them via BitTorrent, but of course there's going to be centralized index or services like the Graph that are going to be putting blob data over there. And the thing you have to keep in mind is that you find the blob and then you can validate it on chain with the previous history. So you can't get tricked by like a blob that wasn't actually on chain, if that's important for your use case of having like utmost security.
Cool. So we have a few more items that we're gonna move to right after the fork. But I'm gonna ask one more question, and this one's directed to Sassel. And that's because Sassel's really tuned into the L2 world. Are L2s ready to use blobs?
Yeah, I would say that the major ones are definitely ready for day one or shortly kind of after day one to use blobs. I don't think that'll be ready like the second it goes live, but shortly after that, it seems that they will. And I'm talking about the ones like Arbitrum 1, OP, Mainnet, I think Base as well, ZK Sync, Starknet, and a few others out there. So, but I suspect pretty much all of them will get it done within the first couple of days. And then, yeah, we'll see the cost reductions depending on the different L2s, because they all have different ways of metering gas and doing the fees and stuff like that.
Okay, so I'm super excited to see stats come out afterwards about which L2s have published data about how much lower their costs are. So the fork is in Armageddon, how long is the fork in?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 13 slots.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Can we sort of get an explanation from Barnabas or Remy or Buddha? What are we looking for? So we're looking at this. Is this Barnabas's screen? We're looking at Barnabas's screen. What are we going to see as the fork?
I can explain a bit what's going on. So we have the lines over here for the slot in the epoch. That's when the fork's going to get activated. And you can see the time go down. And besides that, we're looking at the amount of events that are being generated and which nodes are in sync and how many peers they have. All of this data is from the nodes we're running. And there's a couple of more dashboards that will show you more fine-grained information about when blobs are received. And we have sentries all around the world. And these sentries are collecting information, for example, the moment they see a blob. And then we're able to schedule all of this information for you. And we'll be able to see if there's heightened latency around the network and how quickly things are being spread around the network.
Cool. Are we going to be able to see like who posts the first blob, or are we there's going to have to be a little bit of digging around that?
We're going to have to go to the Explorer, and probably on the first slot after that includes the blob, we'll be able to see that. And just a quick shout out, we do have a 4844 data challenge. So if someone wants to help us understand better what's going on, please have a look at the blog post and yeah, submit to the data challenge.
Awesome. How long we got? How many slots? Last 45 seconds.
There should be 4 more slots left.
Let's go.
Can you also pull up some logs, Pandas? Just half screen it or something.
So when it does go live, we're gonna see some blob ASCII art.
Yeah, show off the loads are blob.
Yeah.
15 seconds. No blob ASCII art on Teku, huh?
There it is.
And blobfish.
Oh, there it is.
Blobs. 0.
And
Awesome.
looks like we have 2 blocks already.
Yep, seems like the first one's late, but it came in, and then the second and third are also in. It's perfect.
What does that mean? It's late. Is that bad? Is that normal? Is that expected?
Usually for a fork, it's quite expected, mainly because there's so many things happening at the fork transition and it's an epoch boundary. It just happens that sometimes proposals are late for that specific slot.
So are we ready to call this a success? Does everything look okay? Do we need to wait a little bit?
We need a song.
Yeah, we should usually wait for about like 12-13 minutes for it to finalize, but all the indicators are very good. And for example, Banbus is showing us Forkmon right now, and this is on Mainnet, and you'll be able to see what head different ELs and CLs are on. This is the EL head. And if all of them agree on the same head, that's a very good sign. It means all the clients are on the same chain.
Are there any blobs in any of these blocks?
Oh, could you go to Zatu or to Dora? And we do have blobs already. Nice.
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 It's gonna take a while before the graph looks pretty. You can't really graph 2 blobs too well. But there are blobs. Yeah.
I can show you how it looks like on Holsky when we have a lot more blobs coming in. You will see the blob propagation time also, and you will see a lot more blobs data. So this is what Mainnet is going to look like in a week from now, or maybe even a few hours from now.
And so where it says blob sidecars ingested, that's the number of blobs?
Yes, that's correct.
Exactly. That's the number of blobs. And maybe we can also look at blob scan. Blob scan might also have some useful information about the blobs. And maybe
Blob
beacon
scan is
chain as well has something.
Blob scan is looking empty to me.
Ooh.
They might need to update.
I think Buta linked beacon chain. Maybe we can look at beacon chain.
Yep. I'm not sure if the beacon chain guys
Have we missed
any
a block yet?
blob. No.
Looks good.
A beacon chain is showing some blobs.
Yeah.
It
I
doesn't
think
look
it's worth clarifying that like not having blob right now it's also not bad because like most of the layer 2s are waiting for at least another 24 or like 12 hours until submitting blob. So there may just not be enough use case right now.
Why are they waiting, Terrence?
Oh, because they want to wait until things are more stable, right? So they're not gonna send blob right now. Yeah.
And there's already 2.
And typically, a lot of L2s also have a bit of a governance procedure where they might have to update or accept to start using blobs. So that might also add some time.
Yeah, and just like conditioning that your infrastructure immediately starts using blobs on this fork epoch, you know, is complexity, it is risk. So will people see people bootstrapping over time?
Yeah, Arbitrum just put out a thread basically saying that they're waiting for their governance process to happen to make them go live on Mainnet within the next kind of 24 hours. So if anyone wants to read that thread, you can just go to Arbitrum's Twitter kind of account and you can see it there.
Does anyone have ASCII representations of blobs? I wonder if it was just a meme blob at the beginning.
Tony.
We need Mariano to do a casting ceremony for this.
Do we want to watch the logs a little bit longer? Do we want to move to a song? What's the feel here?
If you can slip something in before the 12-minute finalization boundary, it would probably be perfect.
I can do it.
Jonathan, let's do it.
Do it. Congrats, everyone. Congrats, all the devs. As ever, we are indebted to you. And it's just, I never get sick of this. This is amazing watching this happen. I want to point out my hat. Somebody at ETH Denver handed me this hat. It's a hand-stitched EIP 4844 hat. I don't know if you can see that. I was like, holy cow. I love that. So I promised him I would wear it because it's highly appropriate. All right, blobs, let's do it. I'm singing the YouTube comments as ever. Here we go. Bravo guys, POAP, POAP. Update done, POAP. Don't sing to the moon family. How much time it take? We are all blobs on this blessed day. We are all blobs, we are all blobs on this blessed day, says Damathe. Blessed to the moon, congratulations. Pigeon, thanks, chat. Fix the gas fees, smart people, woohoo, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Let's do it justified, justified, justified. Scotland, congrats, pump it. Blah blah. He can actually sing. That's so surprising. He can actually, I love smart people. I love smart people who bring us blobs. They bring us blobs. They bring us blobs on fire. 95% participation. Oh yeah, we got 95% precipitation. We got 95% participation in EIP 4844 on the road to proto-dank sharding, on the road to proto-dank, on the road to proto-dank sharding, blah blah, on the road to a blah blah proto-dank sharding, a blah blah, on the road to, we're on the road to proto-dank sharding. ETH environment, go to the moon, yeah. ETH environment, go to the moon, yeah. Vitalik God, what's next? Is he a singer? I was here. Nice song. Ha 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 ha. We do the blob rock. We do the blob rock. We do the blob rock. We do the grok. The blob rock. Vitalik blobs. Vitalik blobs. Oh yeah. Never gonna give up on this. Crypto, ETH millionaires. The chat is moving too fast for me to read. It's moving too fast. 95%. 95%, yeah. 95% participation. Preston is offline. Oh no. That's okay though, cause we got the blobs, grok, we got the blobs. We are all blobs on this blessed day. Thank you everyone.
Amazing. Have we justified? Have we finalized? What's going on?
We're like halfway through that epoch, right? Close.
Oh yeah. So this is actually a good time to do the POAP. Do we have the slide for Remy?
Yes,
Do we have the
I'm
slide for
gonna
the
show
YouTube?
this.
Great. So we have a POAP today that you can collect. It is 0.003 ETH, I think. Looking for the slide.
That's correct.
It's 0.003 ETH. You're going to have two methods that you can buy it. One is called Airship. Don't worry about what it's called. But what you're going to do is you're going to send 0.003 ETH to 0xsmoothly.eth. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to send 0.003 ETH to 0xsmoothly.eth. And you're going to do that on Mainnet or Arbitrum 1. Only do that on Mainnet or Arbitrum 1. Only send 0.003 ETH. And then in a few days, the POAP will automatically get delivered to your address. The benefit of this one is that you don't have to do a wallet connection. You don't have to sign any, you don't have to connect to any app. Or you can get the POAP immediately if you go to the POAP checkout, and the POAP checkout is at smoothly.money/hashtag Dencun. And the reason it's there is because the proceeds from this POAP are going to a solo staking smoothing pool. Basically, solo staking, home staking is the most decentralized form of staking. It is what keeps our network censorship resistant. It is the backbone of our network. And right now, our protocol is struggling with a problem that liquid staking solutions and larger protocols are finding ways to make pooled staking really profitable. And so we want to better incentivize solo staking. In a way that solo stakers can do that is to pool and split their execution layer rewards. So Smoothly.money is one of the 2 staking pools. DAppNode also has a staking pool. And the proceeds are going to give basically solo stakers who are subscribed to this pool a little bump in their execution layer rewards. The slide should be fixed now. Okay, so again, 2 options: either send 0.003 ETH on Mainnet or Arbitrum 1 to 0x smoothly.eth, or use the POAP checkout at smoothly.money/# Dencun. And so an exciting part about this is eStaker is going to do a raffle with these POAPs. So watch our Twitter account for an announcement. But in about a week, you'll be able to join a raffle, and that raffle will give you a chance to claim at an in-person event at EthCC or DevCon a ledger. And so if you claim the POAP and then you join this raffle and you win the raffle and you go to EthCC or DevCon, you can find any one of the eStaker team to claim a ledger. And we're not mailing these out, so don't ask. It will only be for people who are going to these events in person. Okay, are we finalized?
Finalized.
Yep.
Woo. All right, resounding success. Can you guys stop being so these calls are not going to be very exciting if there are never any problems.
This was easy.
York, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, just kind of say something about the song we just had, right? One of the questions was, when are you doing something about gas fees? Just to point out very, very clearly that gas fees on layer 2 are supposed to go down with this. Gas fees on layer 1 are anyone's guess, higher, lower, the same. Nothing programmatic has been done, and nothing programmatic is, as far as I know, currently in the hopper, although there are discussions about gas limit, etc. But the main point is layer 2 is the way to be for lower gas fees. So if you're like, I can't pay $3.50 for a transfer, why isn't this 3 cents? It'll be 3 cents or less on a layer 2. There is a website that tracks that. It's l2fees.info. It's not complete. It doesn't have every single layer 2 under the sun, but it gives you a start, and it connects to another one, l2beat.com, which looks at the security of these layer 2s and where they are in their journey. You know, they've stage 0, stage 1, stage 2. And that's a good thing to dive into as a user, I think. Nix, you're muted.
Yeah, Solius, did you also want to say something?
Yeah, let me see there. So I have an announcement here. Grandina and the Ethereum client just went open source. So please go to our Twitter account and check it out. So
Awesome.
let's yeah. Oh, the camera, my camera is broken. Okay, so yeah, check it out. Hopefully this will make this hard work at least a bit eventful. So it's always sad to see so successful hard works. Okay, just a joke.
Good to see. Good to see. So we have 2 options for next. We can either move to the quiz, the Hudson/Superfizz quiz, or we can talk about Pectra. What's somebody make a. All right. Let's move to
I think you're the host, right? It's all you.
This is the decentralized process.
I like Pectra. Is this where we show which AIPs we want to go into Pectra?
Afterwards.
Can we fight now for the contentious stuff?
There are way too many core devs here to talk Pectra now.
That's what I was saying. Like, there's a lot of core devs here, so maybe we can convince them on some of the AIPs that we want.
You know what? We were let down that the call didn't have a lot of drama. Now would be the best time to like stir up drama, put everybody in the same pot, and let them fight it out.
You know what? I forgot to give Hudson's quiz link to Remy. So why don't we talk about Pectra first? I'm gonna give this link to Remy so that he can queue it up. But first, let's talk about what's next in Pectra. So maybe Tim, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you want to talk about like what's coming next in Pectra? What sort of EIPs or what's the state of the EIPs that are going to be included?
Yeah. So again, I'll show the meta EIP 7600 lists everything that's already been agreed to. And you can tune into All Core Devs tomorrow for more debate about future stuff to include. But in short, the idea with Pectra is we want to have a relatively small fork as we begin work on larger things. Kind of like we did this time around, where we have this fork that just happened now, but we've been working on this for pretty much the past 2 years. And in parallel, we also worked on the Chapella fork, which had the withdrawals for validators. So Pectra is kind of going to be the small fork we work on while we work in parallel on larger things like Vercol and full Dank sharding on the CL. So think of it as like just a bunch of nice little features that are coming in. So far we've agreed to BLS 12381, which is a precompile that we've been debating for literally years, triggering validator withdrawals via smart contracts, removing the 2000 block delay for deposits to be seen by the beacon chain, and something I'm not even sure what this does, but moving committee index outside Attestation, very CL focused EIP right there. And we're debating a bunch of other stuff that we can potentially include in the fork. Hopefully we finalize this in the next couple weeks.
Awesome. Anthony, what do you want to see in Pectra?
Max EV. The max effective balance increase for validators. We need that. Like that is one of the things that I hope gets included alongside inclusion lists. I know it's a big lift. It's not a small EIP by any means, but I think it has so many positive effects for the network and addresses a lot of the issues that the network is currently facing, across a spectrum of things there. And I really hope to see it kind of prioritized for a number of different reasons. Mike Nuda has done a lot of great work on this. Maybe I mispronounced his surname there. Sorry, Mike. But I've done a lot of great work on this along with a bunch of other people. So yeah, that's the one I want to see the most going into Pectra. I understand if it can't make it because the development overhead is too much, and obviously there's a lot of EIPs that are currently kind of being looked at for Pectra. But yeah, that's the one that I really want to go in.
Nice. Does anybody else who is not a core dev or researcher have any other opinions about what should go into Pectra? Feel free to speak now. This is your time.
I'd really love to see EOF, but I'm not sure whether it's too big for it.
Nice. York, what is EOF?
EVM object format. Basically what it does is it makes it easier to write smart contracts and reason about the security. That's one thing. And the other thing it does is it versions the EVM. So if the core devs want to make a breaking change in future, they can do so without breaking every existing smart contract in existence. So given that, 2 years is a long time in software dev, it'd be really nice to have that for the smart contract developers and not wait another 2 years for it to come in, so they can, start making better smart contracts, basically.
Nice. Cool. And what's the fork after Pectra? What's the fork and what's the timeline for sort of that? Or I can say it's Osaka / F star. I don't know why it's called F star.
Yeah, F star. Well, the consensus layer fork names are after phase 0 have been star names in alphabetical order. Altair, star names, notable stars in the sky.
And we have yet to bike shed on F star name.
I see. So it's going to be a star that starts with F.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, while Remy gets queued up, I have a poll for you guys. Remy, are you ready to do the quiz?
Yes.
Okay, cool. This quiz was made by Hudson. Unfortunately, Hudson got food poisoning this morning, so he will not be hosting it. But Superfizz has generously stepped in and offered to host this quiz. And so this is just like a quiz for mostly the core devs on some sort of OG knowledge. And I read through it, and I don't know the answers to these questions.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say it's for core devs, because I found out about this 3 minutes before the call, and I'm like, these are complex questions for viewers, but these are for core devs. So yeah, that will be fine. I think I recognize some of the words. So yes, this is Ethereum trivia. I am Hudson Jameson. Welcome. We're excited to run this for you. And I think Remy's going to advance, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. And I'm watching this on the YouTube lag, so I don't see.
You could also share your screen if you want to, if you have the link.
I'm not ready to share screens.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's probably better if you watch it on YouTube lag then. That's probably better anyway, because you can't see it in here right now.
According to the EIP's website, how many core EIPs are in final status? A is 35, B is 52, C is 96, D is 349.
So anybody in here answer. It doesn't have to be a core dev, just anyone in this call. I don't know the answer to these questions. But no Googling.
I think it's lower than 349. I would say it's 35 or 52. So I guess. Oh, so I love that the YouTube channel is guessing too. That gives some real-time engagement. So yeah, get your guess in, and when you're ready, Remy, we can advance and find out. I'm going 52. That feels good. Well, because Pooja said 52 in the chat.
I saw 52.
If Pooja said 52 in the chat, then
yeah, I think 52 was the answer there.
Okay, let's hit it.
It was brief, but like it's been on the.
Oh, it's okay. I see now. All right, I didn't recognize that. I'll stare more closely. All right, yeah, 52 Ethereums are in final status. Question 2: how many forks of Nethermind's client repo exist in GitHub? Nethermind's gonna know this, right? How many forks are there? I'm tempted to say, so 9001 sounds like a port. But I feel like it's high, so I would probably guess 354 if I were guessing, but 50 watching, 1K stars. So it's not going to be higher than the number of stars for that repo. So maybe it's A or C. All right, let's find out.
Let's find out. I guess it's C. 354.
Hey! Wow, great guessing. Okay, let's see what else we have. And to be fair to everyone, after Remy hits the button, it's like a 30-second pause for the YouTube stream to catch up where I'm watching it. So 354. All right, bonus question. What did Hudson come up with? Sponsored by Ethereum's code graveyard in GitHub. What is the name of either the Ethereum execution layer full node implementation written in the Elixir programming language? Is of either. Oh, so there are two ELs written in Elixir. I have zero idea what either of them are. To be quite honest, I'm not even aware of the Elixir programming language, and I will own that.
Leave it
So,
to Hudson to come up with the hardest questions.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, these are Hudson questions. He will find the most esoteric piece of information. And of course, there are people on this call who are like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't know this.
And I'm guessing YouTube chat is Googling the answer in the chat right now.
Well, I'm seeing answers that don't really speak to me. EETH would speak to me. That makes sense with Elixir ETH, and it's a reasonable name, but I don't recognize any of them.
Let's see the answer here. It's Mana in Ethereum.
Someone did say Mana. Congratulations to whoever said Mana. Anklet Singh said Mana. Secret said All in Manta. Great. Impressed that you guys knew that. Mana and Ethereum. I don't know that I'd run a client called Ethereum. Like, I want an Ethereum. I don't know. Enter. It's like a pun. I'm not funny, but I laugh at myself. All right. Created in March 2023, EIP 6789 was created to revive an idea to change a widely used EVM technical term. What was the term and the suggested replacement? I have memory of this. So A is GEIs, good ETH ideas, replaces EIPs. C, Mana replaces gas. B, transaction cash replaces mempool. And D, fund bundles replaces transactions. Mana replaces gas, 6789. Wasn't that like years before? Mana feels very early.
I think it was the formalization of an idea from years before.
Okay, interesting. So yeah, probably going to go with Mana replaces gas.
Let's see the answer here.
Sounds
it
like
is...
That's
I'm
hilarious.
just gonna say, I watched the YouTube chat and a lot of them got that right. I don't know what's going on here even.
Oh, I mean, I feel like that's one of the popular and I think Vitalik actually had the idea or like wanted that movement, but it sounds like a very Vitalik kind of thing, and I could be incorrect. I don't have the best memory, but yeah, Mana replaces gas. Bonus question. Sponsored by Hudson's home staking node that has been broken since December because he heard a hissing from his hard drive and fell asleep before he found a screwdriver to fix it. Who, in 2015, originally suggested the change, oh my gosh, from gas to Mana? I have an idea who this is. Who, in 2015, suggested the change from gas to Mana? I think that was Vitalik. It obviously is a very Vitalik style of thinking that Mana, it does seem like a more appropriate term, even if it's not a widely accepted concept.
Let's see the answer here.
Watch me be wrong.
Vitalik.
Hey, Vitalik Buterin. Which, I don't know, becoming very comfortable with the term gas, I'm probably happy that it didn't change to Mana, but it would probably make us 8 times cooler. Great. And
that was it.
Great. Thanks everyone for participating. Especially congratulations to anyone who knew an answer. I was impressed to see people knowing that Mana was an Elixir client. I have no awareness of that. So congratulations and thanks everyone for playing.
All right, you guys ready for these results on which all core dev call host is gonna win the battle to the death? There we go. Seems like there's consensus here.
Oh, so I didn't know that this was running in back channel. Yeah. So Danny is just I may have described you as the Hulk in pre-call. That I think that might have laid the foundation.
I also think
ever
that it
since
helps
the merge, I've had more time to go to the gym.
That's awesome. We're gonna need quad pics on Twitter, okay?
I feel like both Danny and Dankrad, whenever they have their camera, it's like from below too, so they look a little larger.
Danny's got the downward angle now. He's trying to shy away from his build.
Like, no, I'm small. I've got a hat on.
All right.
I got the cat
What else?
with me.
Use some forced perspective and make you look smaller.
Danny, it's interesting. The family member that you chose to bring to the call was the cat. That's telling.
My daughter's not on the internet, or son. Who knows if you know? I don't even have one.
Buddha says Danny 10 blobs.
Do we have results for the other challenges, or are we moving on?
Results for what?
Well, when we did the quiz, I didn't know if the core devs. Okay. I was surprised to see that one.
And for the YouTube chat, I don't know if polls in YouTube chats are possible. If they are, please inform me. I'm down for the next fork call live stream, which we do every time, to try to figure that out if it's possible. And okay, so thank you everybody for joining. This was a huge success. It was almost boring because it was so successful. I think that we have not missed a slot so far, which is not only successful, but like that's just too successful.
One more huge shout out to the 4844 data challenge. So like these blobs are coming online. People are going to start using this market. It's affecting the P2P. There's all sorts of interesting stuff going on. And the Ethereum Foundation is hosting a data challenge. I think we have 3 months to gather data because there's so much stuff to do, and we want to have time to watch the market emerge. But you know, big prizes, lots of cool stuff. We've done this kind of thing in the past, and I think it's a great way to like showcase what's going on for the next couple of months. Because like I said, like you said, this is almost boring. But the really exciting stuff is now people can start using this thing.
Hey,
awesome.
Before we go,
where can people find information about that?
There is a landing page on esp.ethereum.foundation. I will drop the link here. I can drop the link in the YouTube chat as well.
Okay, that's esp.ethereum.foundation.
So I know Blobscan would be a great place to watch. What's the best place to watch Blob progress for like people on YouTube, people at home, like
blobscan.com.
But it's so
he can change.
Just waiting for it to be live. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you everybody for coming. We're super excited to watch the progress to Pectra, to see what EIPs are included, to continue showing up to the all core devs consensus and execution layer calls. Thanks everybody for coming. Core devs for doing such.
Nick, sorry to interrupt here. May I take a few moments to maybe talk about diversity that we are encouraging in Ethereum ecosystem? So not only in clients, but also in the client development team, we encourage diversity, and WIEP, Women in Ethereum Protocol, is a group to support more women in Ethereum protocol development. This is an initiative supported by the Ethereum Foundation, Ethereum Protocol Fellowship, and client teams. Also, cat herders are supporting them. Last week, we had celebrated the International Women's Day with the protocol developers, fellows, and aspiring contributors. And we learned about some stories behind the scene and how women are experiencing working in this environment and working with the Ethereum client teams. I would highly recommend people to follow the recording, get inspired, and may be able to contribute to the Ethereum protocol development. So please share this information with those who may be interested in becoming an Ethereum core dev one day. Thank you for sharing that. And you can follow and get more information at WIEP team on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pooja. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, core devs. Thank you, researchers. Thanks for everything you do. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
for hosting.
See you later. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.